Hello there! What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be starting a two-part series on how to play Star Wars Rebellion, including the Rise of the Empire expansion. So if you have either one of these games, this is the place to be. We're going to be going over setup in today's video. This is a pretty big game. It's a pretty deep game, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, possibly the greatest two-player game of all time. And while I have done a how to play on Rebellion a long time ago, I wanted to kind of readdress the game, also go over Rise of the Empire, how you will do setup first in this video, and basically everything up until you start playing. So, because setup is kind of involved, and it can be pretty intimidating to people, like, how do I even get started? So I wanted to break it apart into two smaller videos. If you like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click that bell for alerts so you don't miss when the next part comes, and we're going to go from there. But hopefully you guys like the video, subscribe, share, leave me a comment. Let me know if you guys have played this game yet. What do you think of Star Wars Rebellion? And if not, what do you think is the greatest two-player game of all time? I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, let's get started on how to get started setting this game up. All right, so getting started, first thing you want to do is set up your board and start to organize your components a little bit. I like to get all my ships and things like that together. I like to also sort out all of the cardboard tokens. We're going to start with our little rebel marker here on the 14, and we're going to take this time marker, put this on the 1, then we're going to take the probe deck and shuffle that and place it there. We also need to set up our cards. If you already have Rise of the Empire, one of the first things you should have done is swapped out these 4 Sabotage, Son of Skywalker, Good Intel, and Construct Super Star Destroyer. There's going to be replacement cards for those in Rise of the Empire, so you're not going to use these ever again. So you just use the new versions of those cards. Also, you can kind of put away your small versions of the battle cards. There would be kind of small like that. You're going to be replacing the small battle cards with these larger battle cards. They're going to be full-sized, and they're going to have a whole different way that the battle cards work with Rise of the Empire. So once you have that set up, you need to figure out which version of the game you're going to play, whether you're going to play the classic version or the Rise of the Empire version. And because you're going to have all of your mission deck, I'm using the Imperial versions of the cards, but the Rebels are going to be in the same boat. You're going to go through all of these cards, and every card that has somebody's face on them, you're still going to use those in both versions of the game. So you're going to set those aside, and then you need to decide if you want to use the versions that have the Darth Vader symbol on the cards, or the versions that do not have the Darth Vader. So this is going to be the classic versions if they don't have the Darth Vader, and then if you're playing the Rise of the Empire variant, you're going to have the Darth Vader symbol on there. So you determine before the game which ones you're going to use. Honestly, I've played this so much that sometimes we just roll a die, and sometimes we'll play one versus the other. But you're only going to use one of these two sets of cards, and you're going to put the other one away. And so let's just say I'm going to go ahead and use the Darth Vader version right now. And then we'll shuffle these two together and make our actual mission deck, and we'll set that to the side here of our little board. We have our classic board here. We're going to add this little addendum to the bottom and set that up next to Coruscant, where the Imperial player would be. I'm also going to start with these 4 basic mission cards. They're going to have this little symbol here on the bottom. After every round of play, these are going to go back into my hand. So I'm always going to have these 4. The rest of the mission deck is going to be the extra cards that I might have. I'm also going to have some cards that look very much like mission cards. This is Empire only. These are going to have a little star here and the bottom right hand side. Now these are going to be project cards. I'm going to shuffle these and set these over to the side. All of my project cards are going to go right here where it says projects in the left hand corner of the board. Now the Rebels are also going to have something similar, but they're going to have the objectives deck, and they're going to have all kinds of different like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 objectives. And so what you're going to do is you're going to sort all of these out, and you're going to create an objective deck that has 5 1s, then 5 2s, then 5 3s, but the 2s and 3s have to have a Death Star plans in it. So what I like to go ahead and do is just kind of sort them into other 3 different piles. All the 3s, 2s, and 1s are here. I went ahead and pulled out the 3 Death Star plans and the 2 Death Star plans. So those are going to go into our deck. And I'm just going to deal 4 more random 3s, shuffle those up, and make a pile. Then boop, boop, boop. Okay, and that's going to be the bottom. Then I'm going to take 4 random 2s, shuffle that into the Death Star plans there, shuffle those up, make this second layer, and then I'm going to take 5 random ones, because there's no Death Star plans in the ones. Shuffle those up, and now we have our objective deck. We're not going to shuffle this anymore because it's very important that the top 5 are all ones, and then you get into the 2s. As the game goes on, the Rebel player is going to be getting cards out of this objective deck, and they're going to be progressively more and more powerful missions that the Rebels can do. And this is going to go in the opposite corner next to the Rebel player on the objectives section. All right, there they go. And then the rest of the cards are not going to be used, so I'll just return those to the box. Also have to gather our starting leaders. I like to sort all of the leaders by faction, so I give the Rebel player all of their leaders, and they're going to get their starting leaders, which are going to be Mon Mothma, Jan Dodonna, General Riken, and Princess Leia. An important way to easily remember what is a starting leader and which is not is that leaders that have this little recruit symbol here, which is the Medal of Yavin, those are not starting leaders. These are recruitable leaders that you'll get later in the game. So you're going to start with your 4 leaders, put them on their standees. They're going to go in your leader pool. The Empire's starting leaders are going to be Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, and not Soontir Fel. What is he doing there? General Tag. So they each start out with 4, and we'll put those into our leader pool respectively. Next step is to prepare the action deck. You're going to have these cards that have the recruit symbol on them. Make sure they're separate from the ones that do not. This is going to be your action deck, and this is going to be how you recruit characters and also have special abilities that work with those leaders. You're going to set that there. That's going to be your action deck, and you're going to keep the cards that do not have the recruit symbol. These are your starting action cards. You actually start the game with 2 of those, and you'll keep those separate. Next thing we want to do is get our probe deck. We're going to use this because this has a card for every system, and we're going to use this to determine starting systems. So where are loyalties lying at the beginning of the game? So we're going to flip these over until we get 3 Rebel systems and 5 Imperial systems. So in this case, Bothwui is the first Rebel system, so that's going to get a Rebel loyalty token. We'll put that over in the symbol kind of like that. Of course, this is Cato Nemoida, but we would put it under Bothwui, so I'll go find that and I'll put it up there. And we'll do that until there are 3 Rebel systems that come out, and we'll ignore any other Rebel systems that come out after 3. And if a system has no loyalty, we just ignore it and move on. And then we got an Imperial system. Now, there are going to be 5 Imperial systems. The first 2 that come up for the Empire aren't going to be fully loyal. They're going to be subjugated. So we're going to go ahead and put a flipped over token on that. So Rhodia, in this case, will be subjugated. That goes up there. And we'll keep doing that until we have 2 that are subjugated. And then the final 3 for the Empire will then be Imperial loyal. Next thing we're going to do is place a Death Star. The Imperial player, after looking at where all of the starting loyalties are, is going to choose any one remote system. So that's going to be a system that does not have any production value or any little hex on it. So right here I've got Dagobah, Hoth, and Endor. There's also Tatooine, Yavin, Dathomir, Dantooine, and Ilum all the way out there on the board. I'm going to choose Dagobah for right now because maybe I want to blow Dagobah up with a Death Star at some point and stop Luke from getting training, or who knows. You know, you can rewrite the game as you play it. That's what's beautiful about this game. I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to put my 1 Stormtrooper there, a Death Star under construction, and then 4 TIE Fighters. We're also going to take a full Death Star, and we're going to put that on space 3 of the build queue. And then we're going to take both that Dagobah card and all 5 of the Imperial cards out of the probe deck, and the Imperial player is going to start with those in his hand of probe deck cards. They will not be returned to the pile, but all of the Rebel systems and everything else in the probe deck will get reshuffled and put back into the probe deck space on the board. So in addition to the Death Star, the Imperial player is going to get a lot of starting units. They are going to be able to deploy these in any of the Imperial systems or the Death Star's system. But this is the only time in the game you're actually going to be able to deploy more than 2 units in the same system, pretty much. And also pretty much the only time in the game that the Imperial player is going to go first before the Rebels, because after this, the Rebels pretty much do everything first for the rest of the game. So think long and hard about your deployments here, because this is going to tell the Rebel player where your forces are, and they're going to be picking the Rebel base after this. So don't leave maybe one section of the board completely, undefended. So you're going to start with an awful lot of stuff here. You're going to start with 8 TIE Fighters, 3 Assault Carriers, 3 Star Destroyers, 2 TIE Strikers, 12 Stormtroopers, 4 AT-STs, 2 Assault Tanks, and 1 AT-AT. And then you're going to place them. Now, you've got to place these anywhere that has Imperial Loyalty, Subjugation Marker, or Death Star under construction. You have to have at least 1 unit in each system. Make sure you have at least 1 Stormtrooper everywhere. Definitely want to, or a ground unit, I should say, because any of your starting locations that are subjugated, for example, if they don't have ground units, you're going to lose them. So you don't want to start off with a system that you immediately lose. So so put at least one stormtrooper everywhere, and then start building out from there. That's my recommended start out. And I always like to put a little extra on the Death Star because it is possible for the rebels to attack the Death Star on the first turn of the game. So it's a good idea to consider putting a little extra defense on that Death Star system while it's under construction. So the Empire player is going to go ahead and deploy these all out, keeping in mind transport. Your TIE fighters and all your ground units do need to be carried. They're going to have this little symbol right there with the chain. That means they need to be carried. And so you need things like a Star Destroyer or a Gazanti assault carrier that can actually carry them. So make sure you use these transports as you space them out so they can move your ground units from planet to planet. So after the Imperial player has deployed, it's going to be the Rebel player's turn, and they have much less. So the Rebels start out with a much smaller group. So they are starting with a single X-Wing, Y-Wing, U-Wing, 1 Rebel transport, 1 Corellian Corvette, 5 Rebel troopers, 2 airspeeders, and a single Rebel Vanguard. Now, they can put these all in the Rebel base space or on any one system or a combination of both. Typically, a Rebel player will put at least a couple of units on the Rebel base space and possibly in an early place to try to strike at the Empire, a place where maybe the Empire is a little bit isolated, like in this case, right over here on my Jito. The Rebel player will now go through the deck and choose a place for the Rebel base, and secret, they will slide that over here under the location card and not reveal that to the Imperial player, then shuffle the probe deck and put it back on the probe deck space. So in this case, maybe the Rebels are planning to attack my Jito and blow up that Star Destroyer, kind of stranding all of these ground troops over here, and they put everything else on the Rebel base space, and that's kind of where we're almost ready to start. I do want to point out that while the Rebels can deploy on any one unoccupied system, the Empire must put at least one on every place that is an Imperial system, and that does include Coruscant, which is always Imperial loyal, so they have to have at least 1 unit on Coruscant as well. And trust me, you want to, because the Rebels can potentially get people here and earn a lot of points for that if they can take control of Coruscant. It speaks volumes for the Empire's weakness. So don't ever let the Rebels do that, or of course, if you're the Rebel player, try and do that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 4 starting missions, and we're going to draw 2 additional cards from our mission deck, and the Rebel is going to draw 1 starting objective. And then with that, and then your 2 basic, you're going to draw 2 basic starting action cards. In this case, I got Track Them and Early Promotion, so I have the option to get Mahdi right away. I hate that card, but it's always good to get Mahdi also. Anyway, and then, but on me, I'm going to have 2 extra action cards, and then I've got my 4 basic cards, and I am ready to start playing Star Wars Rebellion. All right, so you've made it this far. You have got Rebellion set up, and you are ready to start playing. And hopefully you found this video helpful. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know your comments in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. You can also check out links for social media and our Discord in the video description below. We're going to have more Rebellion coming up with our actual how to play the game in the next video in this series. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know some of your favorite 2-player games as well. I will talk to you later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons who help make this whole channel possible. Thank you so much for your continued support. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Always wash your socks and have a great day.